So I'm going to say something here that might sound very strange for a channel that really focuses on helping guys quit porn. And that is, you are allowed to use porn. Really, you can. You are allowed. And the wild part here is that owning this truth is one of the most critically important keys for actually quitting porn. Because when you stop quitting porn from the idea that you have to or that you should, that opens up the door for you to quit porn because you actually want to. Hi, my name is Mark Queppet, and I help entrepreneurial family men quit porn and level up in life. And I've been doing this kind of work for over a decade, and I found this to be a particular block for so many guys. And when you finally get how this works, your ability to quit porn and improve your life is going to really skyrocket. So let me start breaking this down for you, all right? So many guys, they approach quitting porn from this idea of should. And what's happening here is that they're coming from their logical mind. This is, your brain, okay? If you can't tell by the drawing here. And what their brain, their prefrontal cortex, their rationality is saying is something along the lines of, you are not allowed to use porn. And our emotional reaction is usually something along the lines of, one, yes, I am allowed to use porn. And two, you're not the boss of me. So what's going on here? Well, a lot of times when guys come at it from this, not allowed to use porn mentality, what they're trying to do is actually shortcut their process to success. They basically think that if I can convince myself that I'm not allowed to use porn, that I just can't, I just have to quit it, well, then maybe I'll just follow through. Maybe I'll just do it then. But it doesn't work like that because you're telling a lie, right? Like your emotions know that, well, actually, yes, I am allowed to use porn. No one's going to come kick down my door. No one's going to arrest me. No one's going to shoot me for doing it. It's completely within my capability. Of course, I am allowed to. And so you can't lie to yourself because you ultimately know the truth. But the second piece here, like this, you're not the boss of me, is another thing that happens because guys don't like being told what to do. All right, that's just bottom line. Is like, even if, like, maybe some of you have experienced this where someone might suggest, they might tell you to do something, like maybe a boss or like a friend or a spouse or someone says, hey, you should do this thing. And just because they told you to do it, that little disagreeable part inside of you says, well, I don't want to now. I don't want to do it because you told me to do it. And that's, I think, in many ways, actually a good thing because people want to be self-directed. People don't want to be dominated, particularly ambitious guys, particularly guys who are entrepreneurial in nature. A lot of guys become entrepreneurs because they don't want anyone telling them what to do. I mean, for example, like I took Jordan Peterson's personality test and I was like in the 98th percentile of disagreeableness. And it's not that I'm mean or contentious with people. It's just like, I don't like anyone telling me what to do. Okay. I want to do what I think is best. And so that applies even when I'm talking to myself. If I tell myself I should do something, that little disagreeable part of me is just like, meh, make me. And it throws up all this resistance and it will constantly sabotage that plan. It doesn't want to have this top-down sort of authoritarian control. And this is exactly what so many guys try to do. They try to live their life like a well-oiled machine where they've got their logical prefrontal cortex that just sits as like the central operating system and it passes off commands to the emotional self and they just expect their emotional self to be like, yes, master, of course, yes, this is what I will do. And we don't do it. We can't because we're not actually built like that. You are not a machine. You are a person. Okay. And because you're a person, you need to have freedom. You need to have agency in order to really create a permanent change in your life. So how do we fix this? Well, what we got to do is we have to start by altering the script that's coming from our logical mind. All right. Instead of saying, hey, you should or you have to quit porn. Okay. We want it to be something along these lines where we say, of course you can use porn. Here's what you can expect if you use versus if you don't. All right. Basically, the way that I see it is that our logical mind is a simulation machine. That's all it's supposed to do. It's supposed to simulate different pathways. And when it does that, it gives our emotional self better context to then choose what it wants. So when it comes to porn, yeah, you can use it, but you also could not. What do you want to do? Well, what do we see happening if we do use porn? How would that affect us? And then what if we don't? How would that affect us? And I think one of the big reasons that guys get stuck is because they haven't really fleshed that image out. Maybe they've got some fuzzy notions of it, but they don't really have a firm perspective of what's at stake for them. And this is where it comes down into finding your why, right? Like, why do you want to quit porn? What scenario do you see actually coming about if you do? Maybe you become more productive. Maybe natural pleasures become more enjoyable to you. Maybe your sexual health improves. Maybe your intimacy improves. Maybe, you just get to shake a feeling of shame or inauthenticity. You get to stop carrying this secret around with yourself. Maybe you get to feel a level of spiritual alignment. It could be any number of things. It could be all of these things. But which ones matter the most to you? And you got to also know, like, well, what could happen if I quit? If I don't quit, right? What's going to happen to me if I keep using porn? Do I like that picture? What does that mean for my soul? What does that mean for my psychology, my productivity, my relationships, my family, my business, all of these different things, right? And so you want to be able to simulate them out and realize that, hey, I can choose whatever I want. And sometimes you got to get really deep with this stuff. Sometimes, like, we'll be working with a guy and it's like he's in a dead bedroom, right? That's a hard situation to be in. And he feels like, oh, well, I have to be faithful to my wife, but she's not giving me sex. And so I just like, that's why I have to use porn. It's like, okay, hey, take all those have tos out of it, right? You could do whatever the heck you want. You could get a divorce. You could go see a prostitute. You could just keep using porn, right? But what do we see the fallout of that being? If we're just going to be honest, right? Like, we're just not trying to, make anything up here. We're just trying to see our honest take on the situation. And for a lot of guys, they realize, well, actually what I want is I want to quit porn, right? That's what we see. It's like, I want to live a porn-free life because that life sounds so much better. And this all starts from this place of agency and control, okay? You get to decide what kind of life you want to live. And when you don't give yourself freedom to really choose, guess what happens? You'll start avoiding the conversation with yourself. That's what I've seen over and over again, is that guys who have this have to or the should mentality is that they really struggle to talk to themselves in the moments, particularly moments that they're dealing with cravings. They just, as soon as the craving hits, they just on autopilot, they just go, they just use porn. And the reason is because they feel like if they were going to talk to themselves and they're really going to think things through, then they would just have this big shoulder inside of us, this critical part that's just like, well, you suck if you use porn, or you're not allowed to. And they just feel like it's like meeting with a boss that's just going to ream you out, and you just would rather avoid it. Just like ignore them and just grab some pleasure. But if you think of it as, actually what I'm doing is I'm going to be interfacing with my super powerful computer part, right? Like the captain is my heart, and my heart, it wants to make the best decisions possible. It wants to get what it really wants, but it knows that, it's just kind of limited, right? It's kind of like a Captain Kirk and Spock scenario. Captain Kirk, he's the charismatic, emotional core of the team. Okay, he's the one who sets the direction, but he's not smart enough to make all the decisions. He's not smart enough to run the simulations, crunch the numbers, etc. He needs Spock, the super intelligent, rational part, to help fill in the blanks so that he can make the right decisions. And so it's like, when you have this freedom to really choose whatever the heck you want without judgment, then you're always going to end up choosing the best thing. And it's going to feel good. And it's going to feel good to even have that conversation, because it's not a conversation about, oh, what do I have to do? It's a conversation about, what the heck do I want? What sounds the most appealing to me? What, if I was going to open up the menu of life, what do I want to order? Right? And it feels freeing. It feels empowering. And so if you avoid self-talk in moments of craving, it's because there's some shoulding going on there. There's some pressure that you're putting on yourself. And you need to actually give yourself permission to do whatever the heck you feel like doing. And as you get really honest with this, I believe that you're always going to choose to live a porn-free life, because I believe deep down at our core, the way that we are designed by God from our DNA out is that we are fundamentally good, and that we can only want good things. And the big problem is where what we want is just distorted. It's obscured by rationalizations. It's obscured by a lack of thinking, lack of rationality. And so a good desire can come out badly. So for example, it's like if a emotional desire for relief doesn't get to have a conversation with the intellect, an emotional desire for peace or pleasure, we don't have a conversation with our intellect about it. Well, porn can sound like a good idea because it's going to give you some relief. It's going to give you some pleasure. But if we bring the intellect into it, it's like, hey, yeah, you want relief, you want pleasure? Yes, porn will get you that, but it'll also get you all these negative things too. But we got some other paths that could lead to relief and pleasure. Maybe we could take a break. Okay, maybe we could, get this little productivity thing done and then call a friend. Or maybe, we got to plan some fun this weekend, and that's when we're going to get it. Like, there's a million different ways that this conversation can go because it's always going to be contextual. But the big key is, are you having the conversation? Or are you trying to have like this forceful self-domination? And as you keep trying to have that, guess what? You're always going to end up relapsing on autopilot because you just don't want to be dominated, even by yourself. So this kind of inner work appeals to you, and you really want to learn the mechanics of how to pull it off consistently and apply it across your whole life so that like all discipline feels like a natural expression of your true will rather than just this forceful white-knuckled grind, then you're going to want to check out our Frontline Man coaching program. And this is specifically designed to help very busy guys who run their businesses. They've got children, they're dealing with porn problems, they got a lot of stuff on their plate. It helps these kinds of guys make incredible progress in terms of getting clean, being productive, fixing their relationships, literally anything that you really want to make happen in your life. This program will help you. It's designed from the ground up to do so. So if you'd like to hear more about that, then I would love for you to click the link in the description and book a free coaching discovery call with us. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you like this. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if there's a video you want me to make or a topic you want me to make a video about. And yeah, thanks for watching. Ooh, yeah. See you in the next one.